Yes, sir. I think this is what we need to talk.
I will not
Speak about
judges. The reason is, I am not interested in the merits or demerits of an individual. What do you want to do? How do you want to see yourself?
Yes.
Say 40 years from now.
How do you want to see us? It's a long rope. It's
Long
like a marathon.
rope.
It's like a marathon.
Absolutely.
And
you will agree with me, Anuradha, with your experience in life of matters. Life is not an event.
Sir, one observation that I have, just correct me if I'm correct, if I was wrong. Just for the context, sir, I just want to say we have bar rooms and we have huge corridors. Just for our viewers, our High Court building is very beautiful. One of an iconic and what shall I say, majestic building that we have.
Absolutely.
And so from one end of the corridor to another end, there is almost about 1/3 of a kilometer. So we walk there and then we meet our peers and our youngsters or other co-advocates. And then we have bar rooms where we sit waiting for our cases and of course sometimes gossip. I have never seen you in any of these places, at least from the time that I have been in past 2 decades. Am I right in the first place? You always come when you have your work and you go back. So, is that correct?
Well, yes and no. I don't go to the bar room too often.
I've never seen you at all.
I don't go there. I am in the corridor. When I'm waiting in the corridor, I have number of lawyers surrounding me because we talk about all kinds of things, excepting law and judges. I am quite clear in my mind.
Yes, sir. I think this is what we need to talk.
I will not
speak about
judges. The reason is, I am not interested in the merits or demerits of an individual. To me, the institution is paramount. Therefore, I will not talk anything which will bring down the reputation of my court.
Sir, I can only say at this point that I have also taken about, from now, I think almost a decade and a half, that I do not sit and have conversations with anyone. So my question really wasn't that. So if my observation is right, how do you then keep yourself relevant? Do you feel miss out? Do you have FOMOs that you're not there, you don't know what your peers are doing? How do you deal with that? And how you still appear in high profile and sought after cases, sir? So just give us your career trajectory.
I have no FOMO.
No FOMO. Very good. Okay.
And
how did you come out of not having a FOMO? Was it your
that's
own?
Because I have built so many things around myself which I can do, which keeps me relevant.
Okay.
To me, relevancy is not about arguing cases alone.
Okay.
In fact, if you restrict yourself only to arguing cases, you very soon will become irrelevant.
Okay.
Because there are so many other people who are coming into the profession, they are going to take over also.
Okay.
So therefore, relevancy is to me a mixed bag. Yes, do your cases in court. And you should use judiciously your time. So if you want to do many other things which is part of that mixed bag which I told you, you should know how much time I'm going to spend here and is this worth my time.
Okay.
Well, of course, when in the few minutes that you are there in court, you say hello to everybody and then you have a light
little chat,
and then that's the end of it. You're not going to spend all your time doing this and not do many other things that you want to do.
Okay.
And if that is not done, sooner than later, you will become irrelevant.
At least what you're saying is you set your priorities.
Set your priorities.
You have to set
Absolutely correct.
To set your priorities, at least a decade or so in the profession, advocates should start setting their priorities.
Undoubted.
What is important to
What do you want to do? How do you want to see yourself?
Yes.
Say 40 years from now.
How do you want to see yourself? It's a long rope. It's like a marathon. It's like a marathon.
Absolutely. And you will agree with me, Anuradha, with your experience in life of matters. Life is not an event.
Yeah, it's a continuing process. It's a continuing process, yes.
Now you have to, each individual has to decide what he or she wants in life. What is it that is going to give you joy?
So you are not worried that if you don't go for 100 straight days to court to argue a matter, you are still bounce back on the
Absolutely.
101st day and say yes.
Oh.
And I think that is also so much because, sir, you are so grounded in your substance, in whatever, either it be corporate law or any asset that I have seen. You are grounded in your substance. That means you are sitting and abreasting yourself with the case laws that are coming, the books that are being written.
Absolutely.
So you are in control of the subject
course,
matter.
of course.
So that's why whenever you are required or called for a case, you are ready.
Ready. And today, as a senior advocate, one great advantage
Yes, sir. Even I am enjoying that
is
now.
interacting with all the youngsters.
Yes, interacting, and then you now need not appear in the court for every matter, because your name itself is not there. So you don't have that responsibility. Only when a counsel says yes, you want to come for that matter, then accountable to that counsel.
Correct.
And you get a lot of time to sit and read. And it's up to you whether you want to take one matter, you want to take
to you.
How many.
And in fact, according to me, we must first, as senior advocates, find out from the counsels who come to brief us, do you really want me? It's a straight matter. You argue it. You put this point across. Okay. Of course, the counsel said, no, sir, matter stakes, or the client is very insistent, therefore please come. That's a different matter. But it is our duty to tell a youngster.
So you also give confidence to that
do it.
youngster.
I will tell you what point to argue. This is the point that you should put. You put this point across, you will, the probability that you're going to get through.
Sir, I thought this way, sir. I always want to be assistance for any advocate so that the advocate doesn't lose the client.
Exactly.
So that I am able to, help that advocate to raise above.
Absolutely.
So that I am giving that assistance to that advocate by appearing in that matter. One, of course, the client, he will say, listen, I got a best person in the field or best person who can argue. And then this is the best we could do for your case. So at least the client will appreciate that. And my AOR will be able to retain that client so that I can subsidize even a little bit, and I am not so much concerned how my billings are happening for a senior advocate, or I should say, okay, this is what is charging so much, therefore I should do. No, sir, I am looking at mainly be of help to that advocate, that the advocate is going to raise above.
Correct.
And have more work.
Perfect. Yeah, it's a very complex relationship
between the AOR and the
instructing counsel and the senior advocate. There are so many things we have to, and it is not a uniform formula in every case. In some cases, yes, the advocate comes first. In some cases, okay, if it's a firm, if it's a big law firm which is briefing you, of course you are going to say, well, it's a big matter, I'm going to charge a hefty fee.
Yes. No, that's what, sir, I prefer
it all depends.
Appear for that little advocate who is looking to hold on to the client. Then maybe to
it's a mixed bag.
Okay. See, I feel more happiness in that.
It is. You are right.
So,
but it all.
Okay. Sir, there was one incident that I want to narrate. So it was an appeal, and when the case was called, I won't say whether the senior or junior, one judge said, notice, was about to part with the file. At that time, the other judge bent down and they had a conversation. Then I think the understanding between them was, since you have any questions, you may ask so. So the other judge went on against the advocate and just was not interested in admitting. So the the advocate mustered the courage and said that the one judge expressed the view for notice, and therefore, and that was twisted, and then ultimately, anyway, sir, what happened to the case is not very important. In our practice, we have seen many unwritten rules for judges and for advocates. One of that is what I understand. Of course, in a final hearing, if there is a difference in opinion, it's always referred to a larger bench. But at the time of admission or at the time of issuing notice, if one of the learned judges feel that yes, it could be heard or it requires to be heard, hearing, and the unwritten convention is the other judge also toes along, irrespective of what. But sometimes, sir, when the judge's ideological belief or prejudices are quite strong, maybe things may not go well. So let's talk about sometimes these unfortunate conducts that happen, because sir, ultimately the last word is with the judge.
Yes.
Irrespective of whatever your presentation, however great
absolutely.
vocabulary you have or presentation you have made, it's the last word of the judge. And sometimes things which is outside the case, for whatever reason, I am not attributing anything here in this case, it's only just a reference.
Correct.
Just for discussion. So such unwritten rules, sir, first of all, do you see that such kind of rules are there? For young judges who come, they should also know about it.
Yes. I think customs and practices are a very important aspect of functioning in court.
An integral part.
Everything is not written.
Correct.
There are certain things which are unwritten but are as sacred as the written word. Therefore, we should not do anything, whether as judges or as lawyers, to break that tradition. Tradition is specific to each court.
Of that particular court.
Okay. What is the practice and tradition in the Karnataka High Court?
Maybe
not the tradition and practice in the Madras High Court or in the Bombay High Court. It doesn't really matter. Each court has its tradition, and unless the tradition goes against the spirit of the law and the constitution, the tradition must be respected.
So a new judge who comes or a judge who comes from an outside state should make that effort.
Of course, should make that effort to
understand
the tradition of the court and move along.
Move along with it. So that's,
you see, this is very important today because we have judges coming from different courts.
Yes.
And we have Chief Justice as a matter of convention from a different court. Now, in such a situation, how should that particular judge view the practice of the court where he is now presiding? He should say, he or she must say, look, this is the tradition of this court, I am going to follow it. Unless he thinks that tradition is so obnoxious, which is never, it will never happen.
And nobody will also press.
Nobody will press that. That is theoretical.
It won't be a tradition.
It won't be a tradition. No question about it.
Understood.
That is how I think tradition, customs, practices of the court is an integral part of the institution.
And all prejudices and everything should yield.
Should yield to that.
To that.
There is nothing like traditions of my court is better than the traditions of your court. Each court has its own tradition. We respect it. You see, for example, even as lawyers, when we go to different courts,
yes, sir. For senior advocates also,
we have to respect that.
Sir, here just I want to take specifics so that our peers and everybody will be able to appreciate or understand maybe. Like, are senior advocates allowed to make mentions in courts? Let's say in Karnataka High Court for that matter, mentioning a matter. What's your view?
Let us rephrase your question.
Please.
Is there a rule which prohibits? No. Should it be done? No.
Okay. What should be done?
Should senior advocates mention? No.
Or should
not mention.
Should not. Okay.
Is there a rule which prohibits them?
No.
From mentioning? No.
So how do you then bring about?
Each individual can make his or her own rules. So, personally, as a matter of rule,
you wouldn't like
I
to.
don't.
Okay.
I do it only if it is so exceptional.
If you feel, and you will use your judgment.
I will use my judgment. But rule is, I am not going to mention.
You should. It's not.
I don't do it.
But in Supreme Court, of course, because all of them are senior advocates, there a senior advocate is assisting another senior advocate over there. Yeah. There are two senior advocates appearing for a client.
But even there, you see, the whole problem is at mentioning, interim orders are passed.
Sometimes it
happens. So, which is not a good practice.
So what you're saying is the judge may get a kind of influence at that point of time, thinking of this,
and the interim order is
that will become miscarriage of justice,
and
or setting a wrong precedent.
And the client will feel, oh, the senior is not there.
Okay.
See, these are the things that should not happen. Mentioning is mentioning. It is only for the purpose of finding out as to whether there is an urgency to give a particular date. At that mentioning, why do you pass an interim order?
At that point of time, yes.